Hello, everyone, and welcome back one of these interview episodes of the SWW show. I'm Mike, and today I have with me a special guest from decently around the world. To get us started, do you mind introducing yourself and the game we're here to talk about?
Hello, I'm Leo Traub from SWW from Germany, and we are currently working on Paperplay VR. It's a VR minigames collection with a lot of innovative and creative interactions.
So, I'm personally a big fan of VR games. Obviously, we've kind of seen them go up and down a bit over the year, and people have kind of found their nuances in it. I'm kind of curious, kind of as you kind of start working on this, kind of what drew the inspiration to kind of making this like VR minigame collection? Was there something like the interactivity in there? Was it just like you guys want to make a bunch of minigames? Like, where did this idea come from?
Actually, during my studies, I was always interested about VR, and I just tried out a lot of different things that I thought might be cool in VR. And there were some ideas that you could actually not really put into a game, and there were also some cool ideas like for example, we are planning to do that mini game where you can put one of your eyes out and you just literally pull it out of your head, and your eye will still see the position of that eye that you're pulling out of your head in the game. So you can turn around that one eye and see your surroundings. Maybe look at yourself with your own eye, doing crazy things like that.
God, that's yeah. There's always those like fun ones that like sound like good ideas, and then you like. I'm just picturing the big bulk of the headset, and some. I'm assuming one of you guys tried that and like accidentally hit your headset once before or something.
Yeah, of course.
No, that sounds great. That's always interesting how like that's kind of we're kind of getting far enough out where like I was kind of similar way where like in my studies I did a lot of like virtual reality work. I'm kind of getting to that point now where it's like it's been out a while where like people have been able to like have these technology for kind of a bit, and we're kind of seeing the next kind of generation of like people learning, kind of messing with it.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything immediately kind of going into this experience as evolved in these mini games that you guys learn quickly that like, hey, maybe we should avoid? Or has it kind of been like more of a like let's just kind of this playground and see what ideas come together?
So things that we would avoid in the mini games now, am I in understanding those?
Like in general, I'm curious if any like VR immediate like VR learnings of like we just decided this doesn't work for this kind of idea we wanted.
Yeah, I think one big problem is, of course, always motion sickness. You don't want people to throw up after playing your game. That would be really bad. And to reduce motion sickness, we are always trying to get our 3D models as simple as possible. Like it's that performance thing. When people get 30 FPS in a VR headset, they will just get motion sickness so easily. So yeah, that's basically the thing we're trying to do the most, optimize the code, optimize the models. And of course, the art style of the game is playing into our hands a bit because, as you can see, everything is just made of cardboard. It's everything low poly. Cardboard just,
So
yeah.
immediately, that is what drew me, you guys, was I really like this kind of like it reminds me of like I was like Tearaway, like one of those type of looks, but like in this VR world because it does it.
Mm.
I feel like also because it is this cartoony low poly, it kind of helps with those other visual problems in VR probably really well because kind of the detail you're looking for is very different. Did you guys kind of have did you guys start with this art style or did you guys kind of work your way towards this?
Actually, we started with the idea to make a minigame collection, and then we wanted to find something that you can connect the minigames. Like when you're looking at Mario Party or something like that, you have the art style that is connecting the minigames and also kind of the characters. So we wanted to have something like that, and then we thought a lot about that for months. And in the end, the answer was like to make it this cardboard art style because it just fulfills everything. It is low poly, it can connect all of the games, and yeah, that's how we did it.
I got asked immediately then. So obviously, as we're talking, you guys have said there's going to be 12 games, at least like 12 games in this collection is your idea, and you guys are starting obviously with a few of them. Did this cardboard motif, once you figured it out, like, did any of the games happen because it is cardboard? Like, any of them become like this aha moment for any of them?
Actually, not really. We already had most of the mini games planned before we had the art style. So it was just about figuring out how we can get a good setting with that art style for each of the mini games. And Yeah, maybe then some nuances like the details will adapt to the art style, of course.
So let's kind of jump in then, and you could pick any. I'm assuming we'll choose one of the three that's kind of coming out. What do like let's talk about and pick one. What is one of the mini games that kind of stand out to you, and kind of how does it work in this VR experience?
I think like the weirdest one that we currently have is the one with the long tongue, where the player just has a really, really long tongue, like about 1 meter, 2 meter in different levels, and you have to catch ice cream with that. And I've played it a lot of time when during play tests, and yeah, many people just said it's like this one is standing out. If they haven't seen anything like that so far, and because it's also one of these mini games where you have to use your head and your mouth for interactions, and that's something we were really missing in other VR games so far.
So tongue. So obviously the tongue nature. It's there's a lot of funkiness kind of there. So how did you guys kind of determine for control? Was it just you're like, hey, let's do this, and you just based off head movement? Then was there any other like kind of tricks you had to kind of do with that?
Yeah, basically head movement and then some like wiggling around. I mean, as you can see, the tongue is just moving on its own a bit. It has like its own life. And that's because we added a lot of these extra movements, like to make the tongue move around and to make it move up and down a bit, that it would just feel much more alive. And I think it's also quite interesting to see this in the gameplay because it makes it slightly harder for players to catch these ice cream balls.
That yeah, that's so how does that work? Obviously, because one of the big things with you guys is that like these are games that kind of can be played with other people. It's not just you in a headset by yourself. How did kind of this game or any of the others kind of is there any weird limitation you have because you're VR in multiplayer, or is it just kind of we you found a spot to do all kind of in stationary locations?
What again? What did you say?
I was saying,
Sorry.
specifically with this, did you guys have any? So obviously, you guys are a multiplayer game, as we're talking. It's not just for. It's not you guys goofing around by yourself in this. I was
Oh
saying,
yeah, it's
how does it kind of work within the context of VR then for multiple players?
so for multiplayer, of course you will just spawn the other players around you. You will see them. One thing we don't have is like a body for the entire player. It will just be the head and the hands that you can see. And we are trying to put like little details in all of the mini games that come with the color. So for the first player, all the objects the first player will grab in the games are gonna be like slightly red with some red lines on them. And for the second player, most of the objects are gonna have blue lines on them, so that the players can distinguish between each other which objects and which part of the game is for them and what they are supposed to touch and what the other players are supposed to touch.
No, that
And yeah, for the yeah,
I was gonna say then. So for you guys, then is there? Because I guess that part I'm unclear of looking at it too. For you guys, is this gonna be one of those scenarios where it's you guys have servers on your end? Are you guys connecting peer to peer, kind of? Like if a player wants to hop in with their friends, kind of what do they expect the experience to be?
so right now we have only the mini games, and we are looking to make like slight differences in gameplay for the mini games. So like for the tongue game, there will be more ice cream balls when you're playing with two players, and people can compete on these balls or these scoops. It's the right word. And so right now there will only be the mini games, but we plan to do something like in also in Mario Party you have this board game mode where you I don't know if you have played Mario Party, but you usually
Mm-hmm.
play a board game and then you like have to throw the dice and you just go through that board game, and sometimes in between you have to play the mini games. And we do want to do something similar, like a big game that stands above all, and then you have to play the mini games from time to time to get some, I don't know, some more spice into the game.
So that's interesting. Then, if you don't mind talking about obviously the parts you're willing to share on this idea, then so is it kind of as I'm kind of picturing it, like when I picture a Mario Party board, it's like a simple, almost like a 3D game board. Obviously, you're kind of going through spaces. Is it, and obviously, so is that kind of the plan that you guys are just kind of going around it, maybe collecting some objectives, but the goal is kind of just kind of keep going to these mini games, or is there anything else kind of you want to share about that potential mode?
I mean, it's probably going to be about something like victory points. You have to collect these victory points during the overall game. I think in our game, it's probably going to be a card game that you're playing. And during that card game, you will play the mini games, and the mini games will give you advantages to get the victory points. So we're just trying to go with that concept from Mario Party right now. We have not implemented anything, so when we are implementing the things, we are probably gonna change a lot, gonna make some adjustments. But that's the plan for now.
Oh yeah, no, this is. It's always the fun of whenever you're talking about things as they're in development. Is, let's be honest, they never come out exactly as we expect them to. Because always things are fun versus not fun. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm curious, kind of, if you don't mind talking about, is there any game kind of in this collection? Because as we were talking, obviously you have a demo out. There was obviously, so you guys done internal playtests. Was there any game mode that has like fundamentally shifted once it got into players and testers' hands, or has it, or did it kind of all of them kind of give you kind of the feedback you expected from those external tests?
I think we are still making some changes. Right now we're having the this ghost mini game where you have to hunt ghosts. And right now the levels are like 2 minutes, and there's going to be like 2 or 3 waves of ghosts, and you just have to shoot them. And when people have tested, they usually liked it in the beginning. They really liked the game concept in the start, like for the first 5 to 10 minutes. And then they would play the second, the third, the fourth level. And then they would slowly start to tell me it's getting boring. It's just always the same, and there's not really some kind of progress that you make during these mini games. So we're just right now thinking about maybe making like one big mode that where you just always start from zero, and then these waves are gonna come, and there's gonna be a pause, and then the next wave is gonna come, and maybe that's gonna make things more interesting because you're more invested into this entire big game mode. Then I think that's also something that's gonna be more fun with many players, like defending your fortress against ghosts for 15 minutes or half an hour or something like that.
So that's very interesting. So there's that kind of speed bump. How long were you guys kind of expecting these like mini game? I don't know if rounds right term. I guess, I mean, like, if I'm playing a mini game with a friends, kind of like, was the idea kind of going to this like, hey, I'd play this game for like 5-10 minutes with them? Was there some sort of variance between the games, or kind of what were you guys planning to do?
Currently, we're gonna solve it with a lot of content, of course. If we're having like 10 mini games or 12 in the end, then each of these mini games is gonna have like 5 to 10 levels. And at that point, we already have like a big pool of maybe 80 different levels that players can play. I think that will already help, that you can also always decide to play something else. And then, as I said, this big game, party game mode, like in Mario Party, I think that's also gonna help a lot. And of course, there's gonna be things like customizations and challenges where you can just play the same levels over and over again and try to beat your record. Because we also want to have some kind of competitiveness in most of the games. So that's going to be like the motivations. Oh, and of course the story mode. I didn't mention that at all right now.
Yeah, if you don't mind, let's kind of dig into it. Obviously, you guys haven't talked about it a ton, so what you're willing to share, kind of. So what from a story mode, is it like I'm jumping into a campaign? Is it a collection of mini games? What does it kind of look like to, if I'm trying to understand like what's going on here?
So right now we're having one of these cutscenes ready of the story mode, and it's the intro scene and also kind of the tutorial right now, where you meet the character Pro Box. It's like that cardboard robot girl that is on all of our artworks. And she's like a child in a robot costume, and she's always trying to play with you. She's motivating you to play all the mini games, and you will have some cute little stories with her with cutscenes of like 1 to 2 minutes. And in these cutscenes, you also interact with her a lot. Like for example, there's a scene where you have to paint clouds together with her. So you're just standing there and painting some cloud, and then she's gonna react to that and say, "Oh, probably we could put more black color into the cloud or something like that." And so these cutscenes are really gonna be interactable, and you're really gonna interact with that character. And we just think that's kind of important to keep the players motivated to play the game, that they can unlock these cutscenes.
That's very interesting. Where did kind of the idea for this story kind of come from? Was it you guys trying to think of kind of why this came together? Was there some sort of like inspiration for this?
I think one important point, mostly in the beginning when we didn't have any of this planned, was we wanted to put a face on our marketing materials because we can't sell a game if we don't have a face somewhere. So we were thinking about we need a main character. Just like, again, Mario Party, it's a great example for that. It's just mini games, but they put Mario's face everywhere so that they can sell the game. And after we have thought about, yeah, it could probably be a child that would really fit into the subject, then we started to think about the story and the storylines that could happen there. And I think then we just, had some of these really cute ideas, some cool and fun ideas, and also some interactions that we would want to test out if they would actually work in virtual reality. So that's what the story is then gonna consist of.
That's interesting. So I'm curious. As we talk about like it didn't matter fundamentally, at least for most of them in the beginning, for like the cardboard motif for it. Did the story end up shaping or evolving any of the mini games? I'm curious.
Not really. So we have for all of the mini games, there's going to be like a really short storyline, like also some sort of introduction that somehow explains why are we doing this. Like for example, for that ice cream game, there's going to be like a short cutscene where the cardboard girl is wants to eat a lot of ice cream, and it's just super happy that she can get all this ice cream. So yeah, the stories somehow are based on the mini games, and they give some kind of background why this cardboard world has been designed in that case, or something like that. I think another example would be for the ghost mini game. We want to have a cutscene where in the beginning this cardboard girl is like really afraid of ghosts. And then the solution is that she builds a cardboard gun and can shoot these ghosts, and then she will no longer be afraid of them. So that's like how these little stories go.
No, and that makes perfect sense. I do like the. I'm really picturing like a kid at that point, kind of been thinking there's ghosts. So if the solution is a cardboard gun, like I like how it kind of plays in that narrative really well. Obviously in the context space.
Mm.
Well, I'm curious, kind of as we're talking, is any of these games kind of like your favorite to play? Like, do you have one that like is one that like really stands out that you go, oh, if I'm gonna mess with the game, I would play X.
I'm not really sure. I think I can only decide that when all the mini games are done. But right now, when we have tested the game, we're always making like a little list which of the mini games are the best to the testers. And I think most of the people like the stone skipping game, where you are skipping stones on the water because it reminds them so much of mini golf. And it's interesting because some players just don't like throwing at all. So they don't like throwing stones on the water. And these people would usually like the shooting game much more. So these are like currently the two favorites. And the game with the long tongue is still experimental. There are a lot of people who just like to play it once, but they say they would not want to play it too many times. So that's like the statistics right now.
Yeah, no, that makes that makes sense. Yeah, that's interesting. I never thought of the like throwing and shooting people kind of being opposite. The only I only one that kind of crossed my head though, and I don't know kind of a good solution. What else with throwing like people take a bad wrist or something, but yeah,
Maybe.
that's
Yeah.
a very interesting kind of like give and take you there.
Mm.
So kind of jumping for this kind of here as we're talking, obviously you guys are a game that is coming to early access, well at some
Yes.
point. I'm kind of curious, Amelia. It says on your Steam page 2024. Is that still the plan by the end of the year, or is there some kind of wiggle room kind of when that might happen?
The thing is, we're currently also collecting some more budget, so we're going to start a Kickstarter soon, probably. And we've also visited Gamescom last month, like this big convention in Germany. And we've also met a bunch of interesting people there, like, for example, some publishers that we are currently trying to get a good deal with. So we are not sure if we can really do it in 2024, but it will be at least, I think, 3 months later, like maybe in March 2025 or something like that.
Perfect. And then correct me then, just kind of point from that too. It sounds like their current plan, at least, is when you guys launch on access, there will be some level of a few of the mini games available and some of that initial content. Do you mind kind of talking about what you have, kind of what kind of player who kind of wants to check this out at early access launch kind of expect?
So in the beginning of the launch, we will have, I think, some more story cutscenes ready, because these are just going to be really important for us, and also for the structure of the game. And we're going to add a lot of long-term motivations, like I already said earlier, these customizations for your hands and things like that, so that players will just be much more invested into the game from the beginning then. And we're also going to start in early access with at least 2 more mini games, so that it's going to be the 3 that we already have and 2 more. And then,
Perfect.
yeah, the additional mini games are going to be added with time.
No, that sounds absolutely perfect. So again, the game we have been talking about is Paper Play VR. As we said, you guys are most likely coming out either end of this year or Q1 of next year. I know you guys, as you just said, you're getting ready to launch this Kickstarter. Do you mind kind of talking about kind of this Kickstarter, where people go check it out, any of that fun stuff?
I mean, yeah, it's going to be just the usual Kickstarter. We're just going to give people the keys. We're probably going to send out some little crafting things, because, of course, it's this cardboard game. We can send out little crafting blueprints for, I don't know, our cardboard characters or things like that. So that's what we're going to do.
Perfect. Again, the game we have talked about today is Paper Play VR. You are part of Studio Moondowner. Downer? Would that be how I say it?
Yes,
Sorry,
we
yeah.
don't know.
Studio Moondowner. Go wishlist the game now. You could go check out a demo currently on Steam if you have some VR headsets. Last, I guess, is what are the VR? Are there any VR headsets? Is it just like, are you guys just targeting Oculus, targeting any of the Steam VR platform? What is kind of what? Who with headsets can go check out this experience?
Currently, it's on Steam VR, so it's going to be the Vive and the Valve Index. And of course, it's on the Meta. I think like the VR market is just growing so much more on Meta Quest right now. And also, a lot of people don't know this, but the Meta Quest 2 has got a big price decrease during the last year, so it's not too expensive anymore to get a VR headset. Because I think many people, when they played the game, they were like, ah, it's a cool game, but I don't have a headset. They just cost too much. But right now in Germany, you can get a VR headset for 280 euros, I guess.
I was gonna
And
say
I think,
the US, I think it's like 250. So yeah, that sounds about right.
yeah. So that's, I think, something that we need to mention at the moment, that it's actually affordable to start a VR experience.
Yeah, like honestly, just to keep that rolling a second too. It does surprise me how we've gotten to a point where I would argue like something like MetaQuest 2 is a good example of something that's very good. Like sure, there's technically better headsets out there, but for 90% of people, it's a headset that gets you there in a very reliable way that honestly is very portable and not that expensive, which is just the inverse of obviously like a almost a decade ago when these things were coming out for like $1,000 or 800 on like the low end of these
Yeah, and that's
platforms.
still in the, I think that's still in the head of most of the people, that it's just like $1,000, and that's just not true anymore.
Yeah, like legitimately Black Friday in the US at least, you could get these headsets for like 200 bucks, 150 bucks if you look around. Like it gets to the point where like it's an expensive Christmas gift for people versus like a like mortgage payment for people.
Yeah, right.
So, but yeah. So I want to say again, thank you for joining us today. Again, the game is Paper Play VR. Again, go maybe see if your local VR headset is on sale if you are unsure about VR stuff. There's a ton of cool stuff out there, just like your guys' game. And again, go wish list it. It always helps out on Steam. Paper Play VR. Again, thank you for talking to me today. And is there anywhere else we should be sending people during this closing segment?
I think we can also mention our devlogs. So we already have 4 of them out right now, and so we just want to give some insights on the production from the developer's side, from the business side also. So I think that's going to be pretty interesting.
And where do people go check this out?
It's on YouTube, Studio Mundo on the channel.
Perfect. Well, yeah, I will link to them down below again on your description also, but go to YouTube, go check them out, go see the dev blogs. That's really cool you guys are doing that. I feel like a lot of smaller teams, especially because they don't usually have resources, don't get a chance to. So it's kind of, I always appreciate when you see teams kind of taking the time to do that. So again, thank you for talking to me today, and best of luck as you are
Yeah,
heading towards this early access launch.
yeah. Thank you too.